Dobry wieczór. Tutaj William. Witajcie na cotygodniowym podsumowaniu polskich i irlandzkich wiadomości ze mną, William Murphy. As there's been a major political development since we compiled our news summary, I thought I'd provide a further online update this week. Earlier today, the political crisis which threatened not only the timetable for the Polish presidential election, but the very survival of the Zjednoczona Prawica government was resolved when Prawo i Sprawiedliwość leader Jarosław Kaczynski and Porozumienie leader Jarosław Gowin, who had resigned as deputy prime minister over the issue, reached agreement on a way forward. The presidential vote will proceed by all postal ballot later in the summer on a date to be determined, and the vote scheduled for this Sunday, May 10th, will be annulled. Other news stories we're covering this week include: the Immigrant Council of Ireland calls for measures to increase the very low level of migrant participation in Irish politics, and Anna and Robert Lewandowski announced the birth of a second baby daughter. So, the political crisis has been resolved. From earlier in the week, it had looked virtually certain that the presidential election wouldn't go ahead on this Sunday, May 10th, by all postal ballot, with even Prawo i Sprawiedliwość accepting they had ran out of time. The breakup of the ruling coalition remained a live possibility, with the prospect of fresh parliamentary elections being mentioned. There had even been speculation that President Duda could resign, enabling the vote to be delayed until mid-July. It followed the rejection on Tuesday, on a 50-35 vote with one abstention, by the opposition-controlled Senate, of the legislation to enable the vote to proceed, which had been passed by the Sejm last month. The government planned to attempt to overturn the rejection with a fresh vote in the Sejm, but the ruling bloc couldn't rely on the support of one of Prawo i Sprawiedliwości's two smaller coalition partners, Porozumienie, which had vigorously objected to the vote going ahead, citing public health grounds. On Monday, Deputy Prime Minister Jacek Sasin said that May 10th is difficult and that Prawo i Sprawiedliwość will consider holding the first round on May 17th or 23rd, a delay which would be possible under the Constitution. Cabinet Minister Michał Dworczyk said the election might not take place on schedule due to what he termed political tension. On Wednesday, Dworczyk went further and warned that Parliament might have to be dissolved and a snap general election held unless the impasse over the presidential vote was resolved. He told public radio, "We hope that there will be enough lawmakers who will adopt the draft bill. However, one also has to consider the scenarios in which the bill is not passed, and then we will have to deal with a very serious political crisis." The head of the National Electoral Commission, Sylwester Marcinak, said in a statement on Tuesday that the presidential election could not now be held on May 10th for legal and organisational reasons. Sejm Speaker Elżbieta Witek said she would ask the Constitutional Tribunal if postponing the election would be constitutional. PiS had earlier hinted that a delay of a week or two was possible. Incumbent Andrzej Duda had delivered a major re-election campaign speech on Friday, in which he outlined his vision for a second term. A presidential debate between the candidates took place on Polish television on Wednesday night. On Thursday morning, following the agreement between PiS and Porozumienie, Parliament voted to pass the controversial legislation, allowing the holding of elections entirely by post, and overturning its rejection by the Senate. The plan is now for the Supreme Court to void Sunday's poll and for a fresh one to be called in the summer. The agreement means that for now at least, the ruling Zjednoczona Prawica coalition stays together, and speculation that Porozumienie was planning to tie up with the opposition will be dampened. Meanwhile, in what will no doubt have come as a relief to the government, the end of April marked the end of the 6-year term of office of controversial Chief Justice Małgorzata Gersdorf, who had openly and publicly clashed with the government over the judicial reforms. President Duda has appointed Judge Kamil Zaradkiewicz as her temporary replacement as first President of the Supreme Court. Last Sunday, May 3rd, was Constitution Day in Poland, a day which is marked with a public holiday to celebrate the constitution adopted by legislators on May 3rd, 1791. The document is often referred to as the first modern constitution in Europe and just the second in the world, after the 1787 US Constitution. Just 4 years later, in 1795, Poland lost its sovereignty for 123 years. The day is traditionally marked by a major address by the Polish president, which in the unique circumstances this year was broadcast to the nation rather than being delivered at Castle Square in central Warszawa. Andrzej Duda told the nation that, at this difficult time, we need order and unity, which the Constitution protects and safeguards, so that the country can continue to counteract the epidemic efficiently, defending citizens' safety, both in terms of their health and life and in economic terms. Unfortunately, unlike in Ireland, the holiday didn't carry over to the Monday, since it fell on a Sunday this year, so an unlucky year. The Labour Ministry has estimated that unemployment in Poland rose to 5.7% in April due to the COVID-19 outbreak. On Wednesday, Minister Marlena Malong told Polish radio that the number of unemployed had increased by 58,000 last month to 960,000. She said that the government is doing everything to ensure that as few jobs as possible are lost due to the current crisis. Deputy Prime Minister Jadwiga Emilewicz said last month that the numbers unemployed could reach 1.5 million by the end of the year, with a jobless rate of somewhere around 9 or 10%. The Immigrant Council of Ireland this week published a new report which has highlighted the need for further measures to broaden the participation of migrants in the political process. The report, entitled Strength in Diversity, is based on the experience of migrant candidates in the 2019 local elections, in which just 56 out of over 1,900 candidates were from a migrant background, with only 9 being elected to one of the 949 local authority seats. The report found that political parties need to do more to integrate migrants into politics. On a positive note, it found that while migrant participation in politics is very low, those candidates who did contest the election viewed it as a positive experience. The Immigrant Council said that the political parties need to make greater efforts to diversify their membership, support migrant candidates, and tackle racism if our political representation is to match our diverse society. It said that, for a functioning and effective democracy, it is essential we bring migrants in from the margins and open up opportunities for them to be involved in political decision making. Last Saturday, May 2nd, was of course Poland's Flag Day, a day where citizens are encouraged to show their patriotism by hanging out the national colours of red and white. It was also the day of Poles abroad, and marking the occasion, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jacek Czaputowicz, extended his best wishes to Polish citizens living abroad. Czaputowicz said that, on this day, Poles across the country join their thoughts in a special way with those who, while being part of the Polish nation, have found their new home abroad, adding that, I'd like to express my great respect and thanks to all those who, despite difficulties and the distance, have not abandoned contact with their homeland and have not forgotten the tongue of their forefathers, transmitting Polishness to subsequent generations. Czaputowicz especially praised the work of Polish doctors and nurses working with enormous dedication in hospitals across the world. The minister said that we see a direct relation between the achievements and position of Poles in individual countries and the success and prestige of Poland on the international arena. Finally, on Wednesday, Polish soccer star Robert Lewandowski announced the birth of a baby daughter, saying in an Instagram post, "Hello little one, welcome to the world, Laura." He added, "Well done mummy, Anna Lewandowska." Anna and Robert Lewandowski already had one baby daughter, Clara, born in May 2017. To wszystko na czyn. Zapraszam na kolejne podsumowanie za tydzień o tej samej porze. Dobranoc.